Is it happening? I reckon it's happening because every time I think it's not, it's totally happening.
Are you talking to me?
No. Talking to the internet. Dear internet, are you happening? I don't even know. Let me fire this up. Let's go recursive. How do I even do this? I swear, every time is the first time. They really need to work on hankeronizing the live streaming process. Where am I? Like, I need to get this. I need to get this whole thing up. Get my live chat up. Hey, there it is. Hey, everybody. Are you there? Are you people? Are you? I need to get this. Oh. I need to get this whole thing up. Oh, hi, guys. Why am I typing "oh, hi, guys" while I say "oh, hi, guys"? Are you there? Good grief. Okay, let me collapse this little thing over here. There we go. Where's live chat? There it is. Oh, hi, guys. Why am I typing "oh, hi, guys" while I say "oh, hi, guys"? Wow, we went super recursive there for a second. That was awesome. Okay. Holy moly. Hey. What's up, Mike? John McGuire. Zach. Zach, you're out of your mind. But thank you. And hey, everybody. Hello. Still just pulling it together here. This is where a more professional streamer would have like a sort of a "will begin in a few moments" type screen, but you guys know me. I'm not that person. I'm too busy with other things to get good at the internet. Still working our way through these silver bullets, but this is at the tail end of 3 pungent IPAs over at the pub with my wonderful townsfolk. And of course the incomparable Twigs. Hey, and oh shit, yeah, that's the theme. Thank you, Matt, for reminding me. TGIF, bow hatches. TGIF. Oh my god. It snuck up too. Doing those stupid push-ups just makes the days slide by. And then old Twigglebone took the day off, so it's like the whole week just shortened. And man, it is sunny out. It is warm. There's a breeze. The beer is fresh and cold. There's like totally real, legit people all around me. We got a Jeep. Ate some sushi for lunch. Man, life is good right now. So, what better thing to do than just kick it? So if you guys don't have games tonight, which I don't, so if you're like me, you're just kind of like, hey man, what should I do? I don't know. Well, maybe you're working on some stuff. Maybe you're just kicking it in your living room. I don't know, smoking some pencil shavings. Who knows what you're doing? But whatever you're doing, I'm glad you're here hanging out with me because I have got to get more work done on this thing. I've got ye old pen here. And I don't know. It just struck me. So I got a little while, a little time to kill here before who knows what's going to happen next for Friday night. So I figured, you know, let's segue with some map work. So guys in the chat, hey, what's up? Jared, thank you, dude. And Matt, yes, it's freaking gorgeous. Gigantic IPA. Gigantic IPA. All right, Michael. Hey, how's Kyle doing? I hope he's not permanently scarred by the game the other day. I hope he's more inspired to believe in what RPGs are all about. Oh, yeah. Hey, B. Fisher. Yeah, you made it to a live stream. Well, get ready for a formless morass of completely senseless stupidity because that is what happens on my live streams. So if you see me just moving around right now, I'm just kind of warming up into the map here, see what I'm going to work on tonight. I'm not totally sure. There's these huge blank areas. I know that I wanted to get into the Colossus because Matt threw up a post this week about Mononoke, and so I was just like, oh man, Mononoke is so dope. And by coincidence, like, we've been getting this kind of Akira kind of craving lately. And then I was like, oh my god, I want to watch Nausicaa so bad. Gorgons everywhere. Oh, so that led me all the way back to something you guys don't know about yet, which is in the third Runehammer novel. There's these sort of fallen Colossi, which are these big warriors, and the hero in the third book kind of camps in one of their heads. So I wouldn't call that a spoiler. It's more just like imagination fuel. And so I wanted to get that on the map because these things are so big that they're actually they're big enough that they should be on a map. So I know it's out here in the Keddish Steppes. So I think that's where we're going to wind up. I got a little more work done from last time too. Oh, Alpha, if you haven't seen Mononoke, dude, or lady, you bunny lass, or fine lad, like, I can't tell by your icon, but oh my god, Mononoke is the biggity bomb. Mononoke is where anime becomes what anime is. Same with Akira, for that matter, I mean. That's the Cloud Gang, or Clown Gang song. Actually, Cloud Gang is kind of cool. Okay, so we're coming in here on the Keddish Steppes. If you see these little pencil marks under the map, those are this sort of bottom layer that I have that I'll ditch at the end, but I just wanted to get really, really simple, almost ley lines of what my world is, if you guys have played Rifts or are familiar with ley lines. So the Keddish Steppes. Now, that fallen Colossus, is out here somewhere. So I think it's right over this little, if you guys can see my move tool, it's right over this little arc here. This little arc. So it's like right there. So I just need to I need to see it and get my confidence up so that I don't scubble up my lines. Oh man, Akira soundtrack. I have been listening to that movie, that damn soundtrack, I don't know, once a month for the last 20 freaking years. My other favorite one is do da do da. Anyway, I digress. The map is getting incredible. Hey Diego, thanks man, I appreciate that. It has been a ton of work, but I just wanted to you know, throw the tone on the video that, you know, I'm a real person, so I don't have like cool things to say to the internet all the time. Yeah, I mean, you guys know me. I'm trying to get my push-ups done. I need a couple of beers, I need a little bit of food, and I can keep working on my map for D&D. So when I put map work on a stream as the title, really that's legitimately what I'm trying to do. Is I'm not trying to like lecture you guys and oh yeah. When at the very end, when the chorus comes together, Fistful, yeah, it's so cool. It's that, and those bells, those Zen bells are hitting, and they're remembering their childhood, and their childhood is actually linking into why Tetsuo was power hungry and he lost control of his urge for power, and it's a sort of a commentary on self-bullying. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to get the Colossus done, sort of up here in this nice big space. And then we'll zoom out a little bit on the geography and get it placed right where I feel like it should be from the third novel. And then we'll get all that other kind of little Bob Rossi stuff done, like all the trees and all the little stuff. So let's just dive right in. So as far as the Colossi in the story, I always imagined them not quite like the ones in Nausicaa, or Warriors of the Wind as it's also known, and not quite like the ones in Shadow of the Colossus. It's kind of somewhere in between. So once they're fallen, what do they look like? Well, since I don't know yet, I'll buy myself some time by doing the line work of what it's going to lay in, which I know is this sort of sandy environment, right? So you got these kind of dunes. Right? And if you want to draw dunes, all you need to do is draw water. And the way that wind shapes sand is the way that wind shapes water. It just does it in a less dynamic fashion. So since I can't draw time, they actually look quite similar. So I just want to get these waves done. It's like little dune waves. I need to angle my arm really weird so I can get a pull on this line. There we go. So the Colossus has fallen sort of chest up, so it fell backward. Whew, this is not an easy drawing challenge here. So there's this head. And I don't want it to look like it's smiling. So you see how I got a little bit of a smile there? So let's just, well, maybe you can't. I mean, you're just seeing like totally abstract lines. There we go. Okay, so there's that. And then there's this chest, and then the rib cage, and then down there. And then the hand is going to come down here through the dunes, and then one of the legs is like, this is all that's kind of left of the leg. So since legs are pretty easy to draw, I'll kind of just go to that first. Now remember, this is a sort of a fallen one of these things, so it doesn't need to be all badass. It just looks like a sort of a, almost as just a corpse sort of laying in the sand. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so those are my starter lines. So you guys know my whole philosophy, which is just like, and actually one of you guys, and I'm sorry I don't remember the username, but mentioned drawing to see what happens, which is a reference to Dungeon World, right? And I really do believe in that philosophy of like, I have no idea what I'm going to draw because I'm not good at drawing things. So if I just let myself discover what I'm drawing, I'll succeed, rather than trying to draw a thing and then fail a million times. There we go. Oh, come on, gotta pull that line nice and clean. Oh, come on. There we go. Okay, nice. All right, so you can kind of see this form laying here, and I don't want to get too specific, because if I get too specific, it just doesn't feel like a Colossus. And then they also have like these war gloves, right? What do you mean right? I mean, what am I confirming? Okay, here we go. So it's kind of like humanoid landscape almost. Yeah, there we go. Nice. So the kind of the remnants of his helmet have kind of become a dune there. Yeah, looking good. Okay, cool. If you press R, you can rotate the canvas. That is a great tip, but I will not do that. That will just confuse me. I've spent so many years learning to rotate my body. The last thing I want to do is rotate my canvas. Nice. Okay, I think I'm feeling that. And you know, it's just I don't know if I like have something to say here, like some kind of thesis of what I'm doing. I don't know, just it's a window into my universe. It's like kind of, you know, get some grub, say hello to some of your townsfolk, you know, hang out with your girl a little bit, or guy, whichever it is. You know, look out the window, see those trees swaying. So now the weird part about this thing's head is definitely in the eyes. Like, I always love to play with that. So it's this kind of jam right here. It's this kind of Shelob jam. And it is this war creature. So I can't just have it be totally shriveled. It does need to have some beef to it. I really liked those shoulder pads that Bulvi, as they call him in that movie, but Beowulf has in the 13th Warrior, which is these shoulder pads that come down onto the collarbones. Really, really cool armor design. So I just try to capture that. And you know, in my art style, that always just adds up to, or this art style, to basically one line. There it is. It's that curved line. So rather than ending a shoulder pad on a convex line, there's just a little bit of a concave line there. by the collarbone. I think there's a little bit of a shadow here. And you always got to be careful with shadows on extremely large objects because they don't cast that big of shadows. So sometimes big shadows can make large objects look small. Okay, cool. Nice. Yeah, you know, if you put like a big stretching shadow across the ground, it looks like a human-sized object. And this is more like a building-sized object. Alpha. Yes, Alpha, I love your idea process. So let's harvest that. Multiple minds are always better than one. Bones, the idea of bones. So let's get these bones in here. That's how long he's been laying there. These pillar-sized ribs, which is a fantastic and ancient trope. By the way, there's the drinking game if you guys are still playing it. Of all good fantasy is huge bones out in the desert. All the way back to Star Wars. When you get that completely unexplained mega skeleton out in the desert, is so cool. There we go. Nice. Now it really looks like he's been there a while. So now I need the zygomatic. There we go, just to sort of drive that skull structure home. And I know that I haven't really included a lot of how this is all kind of, how I'm doing it in any kind of tutorial or anything. But we'll get there. All we did was line quality. There are a bunch of journeys yet to take for us to reach concepts of anatomy and form and stuff like that. That's the hardest of all the things. Nice. That feels pretty cool. So I think maybe too he has like a Battle Chasers style gem on the back of his glove. Again, like I try not to shy away from tropes. Thematically, I like to do imitation, but stylistically, I try to avoid it at all cost. So if you guys talk to Nate Helmkamp, he'll really give you a report on how freakishly annoying I can be in that area. Stylistic imitation is not good, but thematic imitation is the very stuff of what we do. All right, there we go. Cool, nice, that's coming together. So now, oh man, a big sword. John Jarvis, that's a super cool idea. I think that might be a little more like Numenera or more Riddick than I'm quite comfortable with in Alfheim. Like this massive sword sticking out of the sound. I love that idea. You know, I had that in my campaign too, this giant sword, but I don't think it's quite part of this story. Like that really takes a story up to 11, and this is a little more of a quiet story. So I'm going to try to blend him more and more into the dunes. I'm sorry guys, I'm just reading the comments because it's just awesome. His head seems disproportionate to the rest of his body. Well, crap, that's not going to work. Yeah, it's very... Heavy metal has influenced everything that I do. There's absolutely no way to deny that fact. The Terrakians and all of that has just hugely inspired how I think of the future/past, which is, you know, the science fantasy kind of world, which is a little bit of both. And though another Terrakian was born. Fucking Lochnar, what a dick. Okay, so I don't want to get too into it because remember, most importantly, we're still doing a map and not necessarily, you know, like a drawing. There must be something inside, yeah, and we're not going to draw that. But you know, little windows, well, not windows, but little spaces that could be interpreted that way. Okay, so the most important part is that it fits the map. And it gives you a weird feeling of like, oh my god, there's a large creature on the map. So you guys feeling that? See how the line weight is starting to match? So what doesn't match is the black weight. So there's not quite enough black weight to it. So what I'll do is, it's not really even a thing or an object. It's just a little more black weight here. And that means that there's enough black that it stands amongst the other objects on the map without looking like an exception or an error. I know these probably seem like barely provable piles of gobbledygook, but that's just how I think, is that black balance concept is very important to me. Like, I really want to fill in those eye sockets with black, but I just can't. It's going to overpower the black balance. Okay. Yeah, so hey, thanks everybody for tuning in. So again, this is kind of what it's really important to keep doing this. So if you guys are kind of doing it's like, is this part of the map? That's the greater question, not did I do the perfect drawing? Because A, I never do the perfect drawing because I'm constantly disappointed with my own drawings. But B, if everything is sort of consistent in a way, exactly how good you draw any one thing, it becomes a lot less of an issue. It becomes much more an art of tableau rather than an art of peace or of, I don't know. I don't know art critique-y words. So now, just to mix it and to make it fit into a map, I need little bits of plant. I need a little bit of grass. I need a couple little dots, you know. And the way that tiny little pieces of ink like this work is that they break up that black balance. And they will let it sit amongst other things that are being sort of conveyed in a map-like way. Like, here's some little piece of him that broke off. You know, maybe it's his other hand, sort of, his other arm was ripped off and it's kind of buried in this dune over here. And why is that useful for a D&D map? Well, I think mainly because those little cues that get the DM's brain turning, or the player's brain turning. Let's say that you hand this map out to players. Why are you even doing a map at all? Well, the answer is very simple. You're mining description. And as all of us know who've played a lot, description is the burden of the DM and the player. I mean, those magical moments of surprising description, they come from the DM, they come from the player, they come from that random guy who sleeps on the couch who happens to walk through the room while you're playing. Like, they can come from anywhere. And the Zen mind will accept them from anywhere. You don't have to have expectations of who's defining your world. But a map is very useful to get those descriptions moving. So anyways, I think there it is. The hand gets a little big for me. Holy moly, look at the size of that thing. I mean, being inspired by Battle Chasers is one thing, but like a hand that's bigger than your head gets a little strange. Okay, so I'm just going to kind of, there you go. It's more blending into the sand. Like he fell a long time ago. There we go. So now just checking. So yeah, it's kind of comparable in its massiveness to a few mountains, which is like really big. That's bigger than it is in the story. But I kind of don't care because it's awesome. It's fitting. So we'll just do a little bit of an adjustment, which you got to be careful with this because it will change your line weight and that'll break it. But let's just shrink it just a little bit. And then we'll bring it down here by this border between the Keddish steps and this set of standing stones at the ley lines. And then the rest of our work is going to be fitting it in. Okay? So that's why I'm out, where am I? I'm at 50% right now. So hey, I'm taking a peek over here. Bone tail. Oh man, that's a great idea. How do you judge a good amount of monsters for an encounter that's appropriate to party? Oh, good lord, dude. That is such a heavy question. It's a Hellboy hand. The right amount of monsters for a party is exactly double what you think they can handle. Anchor and Friday, how's it going? Hey Al, how you doing, man? Roll20 is a good website. That's a good troll. Looks like you could have a city worth people with it. Yeah, it totally does, doesn't it? I got a little bit big on him there, Akuma. But that's okay. I think that's kind of the tone we want to bring. It's like a sort of a Disneyland map where things are a little bit exaggerated. Started the same way. Get friends, use the internet. Man, if you guys are talking about like finding people to play D&D, yeah, there really is a lot to be said for opening your heart to the internet. And I know it's difficult. It is filled with trolls and weirdos, but so is the real world. And I would actually venture to say that the RPG community on the internet is one of the least trolly of all the different internet communities. It's just a matter of finding those kindred spirits. It's not finding good people. It's finding people that are compatible with you. And you will find them. It's just a matter of doing the hobby. And other people that are just doing the hobby with no expectation of gain will bump into you. That really is it. There is no other way to package it. Okay, so we're at the north of the Kedish Steppes, which are like this cold, barren, sort of Mongolia area. And I think that Gillhelm, which is the shipbuilder's town, is up north here. And so between these two and in this area, if you can see my tool moving around, I think there's a huge pine forest. And this is a lot like the sort of the realm of the Visigoths or the realm of Merlin, depending on, you know, sort of how you consider early history or Dark Age times. And so you guys, once again, it is time to draw trees. So trees are just scribbly cones that splay a little bit at the base with two little lines for a trunk. If I had tips on how to do this, I would give them, but I really don't think there's any tip to it. Anyone can draw a little scribbly pine tree. I think what separates the one from the other is the willingness and patience to draw lots of these. Everyone, and I mean everyone, at least that I've ever known, has drawn a Christmas tree. Ooh, that one has like a sort of a tall upper half. That's kind of... I have no idea what my hand is going to do. It never obeys me, so why force it? It's just like Shinryo Suzuki says, if you want to control a pig, give him a large pasture. Same with these little trees. There we go. You gotta get that little sawtooth rhythm going. That's where the magic is. Silver and gold. Silver and gold. Oh man. Yukon Cornelius. Where are you when I need you, buddy? You're in our hearts. Isn't that a little close to the desert? Oh no, man. Distance means nothing here. This is a fantasy world. Al Bubblemint, or AI Bubblemint. I mean, the whole concept was to be inspired by Nausicaa, so I think we succeeded. And you know, when you're sitting at this view, you're like, oh my God, it's just a giant thing laying in the woods, or the forest, or the desert, or whatever. But when you come out here, there you go, you get a sense for the context. Kind of gnarly. Kind of gnarly. Anyway, I don't want to get distracted here because the great shipbuilders of Gillhelm made their living on the vast forests of they don't have a name yet. They're not in a novel, they're not in an adventure. I've never played any piece of content that has been in this forest, but it reminds me of the Black Forest of Germany, right? It's where the Visigoths come from. It's the northern portion of Germany. This endless, dense pine forest that just climbs mountains and fills valleys. like the whole nation is 10 degrees colder because of this forest. And if you guys live up in the mountains like I do, you know how real a forest's presence is on the temperature. It's crazy. Okay, there we go. Little trunks. Gotta get this. I gotta get my little sawtooth rhythm down. There it is. There's the Griswold family Christmas tree. Yo, what's good? Hey, Breaking Inferno, how you doing, man? Welcome. Welcome to the stream. We're not really doing anything crazy remarkable right now, so thanks everybody for tuning in. All 100 of you nut jobs. It's great to have you guys hanging out. It's just kind of Friday evening, and you know, drank some beers, and not quite in like get on the couch and watch a movie mode quite yet. But oh my God! Speaking of watching a movie, Castlevania on Netflix is the shit. And then I realized there's only 4 freaking episodes, and I freaked out because I'm spoiled in the modern era where I get like 8 seasons of a show when I first find out about it. But no, I got 4 episodes, chewed through them straight. Then Alucard is introduced, and I'm like, oh my God, yes! And then the series is over. I mean, for now. So then I moved over to watch that awesome movie, Blame, and I'm about halfway through it right now. That movie is super dope. I mean, if you're into that kind of thing. It seems like the same production team that made Knights of Sidonia, which is a really, really great series. So if that team made a movie, it's bound to be totally awesome. And I got to tip my hat to Netflix. You guys are keeping animation alive. And I don't mean like sustaining it, I mean innovating on it. Okay, so I'm still working on this vast forest, and I'm about halfway done. Be a better fistful. It's so true. Hey, here's a weird spoiler for Castlevania. Dracula's in there. Yeah, I agree. CNY Ranger. The voice acting and the music is super dope, and I love how they got the kind of the more of like a gradient color look on their colors in Castlevania. So you have those really rich glowing oranges that they use for fire and stuff. And oh man, when Dracula is chewing out the bishops and everything, it's just like, oh my God, it's so freaking dope. Okay, so hi, I'm a tree. Hi, I'm a tree. So I hope everybody is feeling the same level of Zen that I am here. You're merely a doorway through which breath enters and leaves. Sometimes that breath is literally air, and sometimes it's artwork. Sometimes it's love. Sometimes fear. But you're just a door between the internal and the external world. Okay, so we're starting to feel it. So let's just go ahead and run with it. Since I got all these little trees, let's get Gillhelm on the map. So before I can do that with any stomach, I'm going to need to get this coastline figured out. These are just my little placeholder lines that I did for the coastline, based on the Alfheim primer. It's one of my worst skills is following another line with a line. Just not good at that. I'm always thinking in total freedom, so like to follow a line is like, what? Why would I do that? I'm a free being. There's only one Buddha nature. It's pure freedom. But to expect to know true freedom without rules is folly. So you have to understand the rules that come from your own nature. Okay, great. So we got this big forest, which is not quite done to me. It's not quite dense enough. Because remember, the grand purpose of a map is to mine descriptive cues from player and DM. So I want this forest to be kind of like, my God, there's way too many trees. You know, you see this ocean of uninterrupted, pristine forest, pine forest. Hey, Deswuzo, welcome. It's like 10 o'clock where I live. Well, cool. It's getting late. Goodbye. And thanks for watching from Brazil. John Jarvis. Oh, great. Hey, yeah, man, have fun with that. Awesome. It's just 2:35 in England. And I have to be up at 5:30. Then go to sleep, because we are not doing anything here but just kicking it, and I'm working on my map. Ooh, you know what I need that I don't have here is kind of one of the more grand, the wardens as I call them. The wardens are the Rockefeller Plaza Christmas tree pine trees. So they're these immense pine trees that punctuate the forest. They're 1,000 times as old as their neighbors. Old enough to reach sort of like Deku status. And you know, I don't label them or anything on the map. It's just I think that they're important to sort of call out. I don't know why. I honestly don't have any rational justification for 80 to 85% of the crap that I say. But rational justification is not my business. I work in the commodity of storytelling. Okay. So here is Gillhelm. Now, it's this whole sheltered bay. And, you know, later I'm sure I'll give this bay a name. Because it is a significant bay. Because Gillhelm, obviously named after myself, is sort of my tribute town to what I see to be the best side of the Vikings. Which is not what they're often remembered for. Which is they're remembered for this brutal side, right? They're these plunderers and conquerors and takers and usurpers. But I always think of the Vikings as a maritime people, as ship makers, as navigators, as explorers. And Gillhelm to me is a sort of a tribute to that spirit. So I'm going to get the docks underway here, and then we'll kind of draw out the town. But you know, this is a town of many, many docks. And once again, like, am I seeing this from a satellite in space? Like, what's the exact scale? I don't know. There's no scale. This is a Disneyland map. The purpose of the map is to incite descriptive cues, not to describe exact scale. Kind of like in Lankmar, you know, the what is it? The city of 1,000 smokes. So here we have more like this is the city of 1,000 docks. Def needs some ruins. Oh yeah, a little bit of ruins out in those woods. Hey Slapicus, how you doing? Carpet sharks. It's so hot. Has he said what he uses to draw with? You can address me directly, Robert, but yeah, if you guys want to see, here's my brush. So it is the default Photoshop round brush with taper set to pressure, and then I put a little bit of a squash to get a bit of an oval out of it. But if you want me to zoom in on my brush, if you guys can see this, there's my brush. That's it. I mean, that's my whole brush. I use probably a painfully simple brush, at least for this style. This isn't how I do you know, like the Harbinger artwork and stuff. That takes some more complex brush work. Okay, so we're doing the 1,000 Docks of Gillhelm, city of shipbuilders. And then I think there's sort of a, I wouldn't call it a rebel faction, but there's a less popular or less fashionable set of docks up here. You know, and how do you portray less fashionable on a map? You don't. That's going to have to live in the imagination. But there's another little cluster up here, and then like there's, you know, this little, you know, Jimmy's swimming hole back here, which is just one little lonely dock on this kind of leeward shore. So where the waves and the wind come in, nobody builds a dock there but this one crazy guy, and the dock's kind of dilapidated. And that's something worth labeling on your map right here. That's the kind of thing that can build an adventure hook. So anyways, we're looking pretty good. So I kind of agree with the comment there that maybe there's some ruins that belong in, ruins that belong out here. Dakota, yeah, this is a Cintiq. Sorry. I'm using Photoshop. I use the default brush, slightly squished. It's very simple tools on a big Cintiq. Hey DM Graves, what's up, man? West Marches. I haven't done that quite yet. Yeah, I'm live. Oh, hey, Matt Shaker, what's up, dude? Just finished Matty's Superman dungeon for my players. Hey, awesome. Yeah, the whole the Keep Studios. Nice to have you on the stream. That whole Serpent Man thing, I mean, obviously has a lot of inspirations, especially back to Robert E. Howard. But most recently from Astounding Sorcerers and Swordsmen, which is a fantastic game and really, really well-written game, but it does use THAC0, which drives me a little crazy. But anyways, in its world story, it describes these snake men and stuff, and I was just so inspired by it, and I almost saw it just as canon almost for a lot of fantasy that I just wanted to sort of absorb it, at least in a vague way. You know, I always try to underwrite my work so that it leaves most of the brilliant stuff to the reader and the player and the DM. They get to do all the cool stuff. The purpose of the book is just, you know, the push, as Nick Fury would describe it. Okay, so we're looking at this map. Now, I know this may seem like a massive digression, but the canyon around Newell and some of the mountains down here near Durridon don't have enough black. So here's Newell, the land of the Canyon Keepers, and this just needs more black. There's just no other way around it to make it look like it fits on the map. So if you're wondering what the hell I'm doing, I just sort of pick places that lines meet, and I just put a little bit more black there. So you just kind of thicken that place, that little intersection. So like, where does the line meet? Like right there, and then thicken the little intersection, and then like maybe here, this is, and like those lines are crossing. There's a little more black. And you know, it's not like I need to like fill in a huge canyon with solid black. It just needs a little more black to feel strong enough to be a feature. Yeah, there we go. That's better. And you won't see it up close. You have to be out here to see this balance. Like, if you guys probably are feeling it right now, but the volcanic area and the Unalaya are a little light on black. So I'll just create some intersections and fill them in. Like that, and then fill it in. You know, I really have no design or plan here. It's the great lie of art is that you know what is ahead. But man, go read some of Picasso's writings. Okay. I love Picasso's parade masks. It's such a great, unexpected project. And yeah, I'm drawing it not 100% here, so that's totally okay as long as you have a steady hand. Sometimes it can be easy to get line wiggle if you draw outside of 100%, but if you just kind of stay confident in your hand over your mind, the lines won't wiggle that much. Just a little more black here in the Unalaya, There we go. I'm gonna stop with that for now. But now I feel a little bit better. Just a little bit of that, the way that the white and the dark, they play together, and you can just see it. It's like a bowl of cereal where there's a little area of milk. If you're like me, that'll drive you crazy. You need a little piece of cereal floating there where there's milk. Wow, what's going on in the... We got a 2E versus 5E discussion going on here. That's amazing. To me, nothing makes a game world feel as authentic as a fully realized world map or even continent maps. Yeah, man, I mean, let's face it, it's a super, super ancient tradition to have these big fantasy maps. And I think it's just because the way the human mind works, it just triggers the imagination to want to explore and describe what's really down at the ground level rather than the bird level. It's undeniable. As for this super cool discussion about 2E versus 5E, I don't think that all the hard work of game designers is for naught. So I think that 2E is a far inferior game to 5E. I mean, smart people work on things for a reason. You know, cars from the 70s look cool and they run like shit. So D&D from the 70s looks really cool and runs like shit. I mean, it's kind of the same. And smart people work on these things over time to make them run better, and they're not doing it to no effect. I mean, they achieve their goal. Doesn't mean that, like, the C-Series Corvette is a crappy car. It's a totally awesome car. But it's definitely not the state of the art. Okay, so what are we looking at here? Sorry, I was just doing that same habit that I do where I see a little bit of missing black and I just zoom in on it and I'm just like, hey, you need a little shadow there. Here's Duramuro, the doorway to the realm of the dwarves. The cause of the Great War. Well, some might say. There's also, if you guys have read the second book, there's a road right here that I didn't put on the map. So if you're wondering why I just did that like 6 times, it's because I'm very particular about the way that my curves flow. And someone awesome like DMG, he actually uses an old French curve template, which will give you those really nice curves. But I'm a total amateur. So I just draw them. Okay, sweet. We are looking good. I'm going to put down my pen for a moment. Oh, my eyeballs are burning from all those delicious beers. Hey, Nick the Rat, what's up, dude? AD&D 5e. That's what we should call it from now on. I love 5e, and I think the books make more sense. They're great. AD&D is a nickname for second edition, Scarred Bat. It's basically, first edition was, you know, very raw, simple D&D, and AD&D is a large series of products. It actually spans a ton of stuff. Really before the idea of editions really even was cool. And it's actually what gave rise to the Rules Cyclopedia, which I think technically is AD&D second edition. But really, I think one of the most quintessential D&D books ever made. Where can we find your books, Hook Sim? If you go to runehammergames.com, there are links to everything there. Entertaining the playing more version game of the mini war game sphere. It's pretty much unheard of. Yeah, man, the wargaming sphere is just so different, JP, and for good reason. It's a mechanically advanced art form, and I don't see a lot of reason to ever go backward when you're talking about mechanical refinement. It's like saying, hey, let's go take a ride in an ancient 747. No, thank you. What kind of tech do you use to draw? We went over that stuff, Flare, but I just use a Cintiq Photoshop default brush. I'm the same, Spacho. I played a ton of 2E AD&D, a ton. Completely almost skipped 3rd and 4th. We played a little bit of 3rd. That's when I had my goblin character that I love so much that got killed. But yeah, nowhere, not the same amount of stuff. That's how freaky dorky I am. I play D&D. Violet deliriums. That's not freaky dorky. It's super common. And you know, the habit of gloating because you did something way back when over others is no longer in fashion. A ton of people played AD&D and played 2nd edition. It's not being dorky. It's called being a person. Sorry to be a little harsh on you there, but I'm getting really a little weary of the terms geek and dork and nerd and how those terms are trying to be moved into the now acceptable phase. And I find it really kind of pathetic, honestly, because they're derivative, derogatory, pejorative terms that were used to tear people like me down for many years. And now to use them to gloat on the very same people and stuff, I don't find it very tasteful. So if it were up to me, those terms would go away. I don't think they're good terms. And I think the industrial culture that wants us to buy products that are associated with those terms really like that they're still hanging around. But the last thing we should do is self-describe using a pejorative term or a derogatory term. So anyway, there you go. I don't want to get into that. That's not a very pleasant topic. Okay, so here's the town of Gillhelm. So there's a little bit of sort of stucco type architecture, but then I also these are wood folk, right? These are lumbermen. So we need a lot of nice little roofy houses, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to draw these things. This is basically, you do a little triangle like that, like an A without a cross, and then pull horizontal lines off from the top and bottom of the A in one direction. Okay, so do a bunch of those. See what I'm doing? Now I'm not done, but it's a good way to start. Okay, there you go. Now close them all off, just like that. Then fill in that little gap, and then you have a little roof. And then just like drawing a little pine tree, you just need a couple of lines to sort of show the house portion. And before you know it, you have a little village. Man, my eyes are just cooked. It's been a big week. Been a lot of writing this week and a ton of artwork done this week. And it's all totally under wraps. I can, but I'm not gonna show any of it. Just a lot of great things have been happening this week. The creative momentum that people playing index card RPG have been giving me is beyond estimation or explanation. It is absolutely fantastic. The thing that drives an artist is the sensation that people care about art, about what you're doing, and that it impacts them in a positive way. And when you really feel that it is impacting them in a positive way, you can't work enough hours in the day. It's so fun. It's such a bright way to see your fellow man. It's just really fun and wonderful. So now I just put a little blob here for each little door on each little birdhouse. There you go. And there's my little village. Ooh, there's no way into this house. Now there is. There's no way into this house. There's a tiny little door. There we go. Okay, so let's check density, black balance, and all that stuff. So this is a little bit off in its placement. So first I need to move the stinking title. Get that up out of the way a little bit there. Okay, and then this town is just not exactly where I wanted it. I want it right there. Okay, cool. Whoa, mostly cut on my teeth on second. I think it's definitely weird that nerd culture has become visible, but it still feels weird. Yeah, it feels weird because that term used to be used to insult us. The DM section of ICRPG is so cool. Hey, Felipe. Thanks, man. I appreciate that. I want a poster with the oath. Yeah, we actually had one session where one of my players read the oath out loud because he was so excited about it. It's really fun to think about. Third and fourth seem overcomplicated. You know, it all depends on how you play it and just how you hack it, who your players are, who your DM is. There's nothing wrong with any RPG system in this entire world. You can't expect a system to be fun any more than you expect a car to drive. Like, it's you that makes the RPG. This system is just a set of tools. And if you blame your game for sucking because the system, then you're probably blaming your cheeseburger for being unhappy. Got a lot of dogma coming out of my pie hole tonight. Sorry about that. Alright, cool. There's the warden down there at that end. So there's 3 big wardens in this forest. So I'm feeling pretty good. There's a bit of a blank area here. Northeast of Gillhelm. But you know, sometimes you just need a little bit of relief. And I'm just going to put, there's kind of a little bit of a wetland there. And maybe there's a road over to Billy's Dock or Tommy's Dock, whatever it's called. That kind of unfashionable, unwise dock on the leeward side of the bay. There we go. And that's like that creepy road through the wetlands, like The Woman in Black. If you guys have seen that movie, it's like this creepy place where lots of wagons have been lost and have sunk into the mud. Oh, Daniel Radcliffe, the wonders you bring us. Okay, great. There we go. I think Gillhelm's looking good. I didn't even really set out to do Gillhelm, but there it is. And now my black and my detail balance on my Colossus are a little bit off. It's just kind of a matter of like realizing that detail that you put in, you really didn't need to send your message home. And those can be occupied by black. Don't follow the lights. I thought you said go into the light, Carol Ann. Nothing wrong with any RPGs. Fatal. I don't know anything about that, JP Morris. But I stand my ground. No RPG can be blamed for a bad game. Ever. Overcomplicated equals unfun. People are overcomplicated. Books can't be overcomplicated. They're just books. Solomon Kane. Oh man, that movie's cool. Pull the line, hankering, not push. John Jarvis. Amen to that, brother. What your opinion of Loftfup? I don't know what Loftfup is. Something of the fallen people, of the fallen prince, Lord of the Flame Princess, the Lament of the Flame Princess. I haven't read that yet. In your free heroes link on Runehammer, you have a connection to Gillhelm. Or is that just a coincidence? It's not a coincidence at all. This has all been built over the last several years. And you run and you run. Yeah, I'm wrong again. I can feel the ire. That's the spirit, Violet. Thank you for your patience and your good sense of humor. You know how I am. I get fired up every once in a while. I wish we were in person so we could have a real conversation. And we could find out just how strange we really are. It's a funny thing about the internet. It's really easy to be dogmatic on other people. And, you know, to speak in axioms and to be very thunder and lightning. But when you're in person and everybody gets to have their say and you're all looking at each other in the eye and you realize your love for fellow man, it can be very hard to be dogmatic. For good reason. Okay, so there's the ridge there near the boglands. And I think I'm coming in about done for that session. I really wanted to get that Colossus in there. And, you know, this ridge isn't enough. So let's finish up the session with another ridge. Because in the story, there's this ridge right here. So let's just kind of finish up this line with a nice little set of ridges. It's kind of like how the steps end, right? Like, ooh, that's nice. That's not the kind of line I usually draw. So this part's weird, but let's just clean that out real quick. There we go. I usually do like these kind of fabric-like zigzags, but this one's a little weirder. And in the weirdness, there is goodness. Just like 8-year-olds. So, what is the World Book? John Jarvis. That's a great question. Thanks you for the alley-oop on the slam dunk. The World Book is settings for your ICRPG game. So it's 3 settings. It's Warp Shell, which is this sort of Isaac Asimov style, Silver Surfer style sci-fi. Then you have Alfheim, which is this setting right here. And you have Ghost Mountain, which is a sort of a demonic Wild West. And each one includes a big map, a ton of adventure hooks. Actually, each one includes 80 adventure hooks. So the book is 240 different adventure hooks. It also includes some monsters, a little bit of custom character stuff, and some custom gear. I think that's most of it. And like, there's a little bit of a setting intro on each one, but that's pretty much it. I mean, that right there occupies a hell of a thick book. So I've been carving through that with my mornings. So I kind of get up, get my gym done, and then have a little bit of coffee, and then I work on the World Book a little bit. And then when I start to feel it sort of edging off, I get into all this other craziness, which is basically just managing what's happening right now. So there's so much community activity right now. It's at least a part-time job just to keep up with, understand, and appreciate everybody. You know, it's a wild experience to see people who are, you know, really are your friends in a way, playing, building, evolving, battle testing, tearing down, building back up, hacking your game system. And it's a great feeling. I've thanked everyone on that front so many times, I'm starting to feel silly doing it. So I don't know if you guys are wondering what the hell I'm doing, but I'm definitely Bob Rossing right now, which is just you see little spots where there should be a tree, where a happy little tree needs to live, and you just need to get that happy little tree in there. You know, I don't have any rhyme or reason to how I'm kind of drawing these. They're just little lines and blobs. So there's Central Alfheim right there, which gray really is the center of Alfheim. Yeah, dog, it's got to be weird to see. Yeah, it's really, really fun. Yeah, Matt. We should adopt Lumpy Head as a replacement for Nerd Geek. Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the thing that I was trying to do, is I try to be really honest with everybody. I don't need to get into all that. If we start putting trees all over the place in our maps, the world would be a forest. Yeah. That's the beauty of a fantasy world, is it's a forest. God, you gotta love the burnt umber, the burnt sienna. A little bit of cerulean blue. I don't remember Spock having facial hair. Dude, Manatilia. Then you didn't see that awesome episode where the war universe crosses over with the good universe. Because Spock had the ultimate goatee. He got the Vulcan goatee and a dagger pin. I don't think he just had a dagger pin. He had an actual dagger, too. Alright, I am going to call this good for tonight as far as mapping. I'm going to hit Control S on that bad boy and shrink that little window. Get ready to go recursive. Oh, screw it. I'll just leave myself up there in the corner. You guys can wonder what this graphic is for. Hank, I've come to notice you're into music and the process of creating music. Yes, I am. Far away across the field, the tolling of the island bell brings the faithful to their knees to hear the softly spoken magic spell. Dungeon synth. Yeah, if it's anything like those other sort of tabletop sound things, those are really cool, but I do not have any time at my table for doing that stuff. I just put Pandora on Wardruna and call it good. Critical Role. To me, I think it's a bit of a spam factory. I think it's a decent game that they're running. I'm sure they're all really cool, but the amount of of funding that's in it and the amount of spam and staff that's involved, their presence is a bit exaggerated, I think. I'm sure a lot of people are having a lot of fun with it, and I wish them well. Have fun with that. I can't watch it. I feel like I'm watching actors. So that's kind of not for me. But it's totally groovy. I got no ill feelings there. Rock on. Nerd, geek, dork equals creative. That is not entirely true, Scarred Bat. That is a more new way that it has become couched. Those words used to mean like you are socially maladjusted, you smell bad, you can't talk to other people, you've never gone outside, you're worthless, you should be beaten and stuffed in a box and treated like crap. That's what those words used to mean. And the fact that the popular culture wants to adopt them like that's what they are after inflicting all that on us, I find a bit repulsive. So I don't like those words. I recently watched your metal-inspired War Pigs garbage. It was great. Hey, thanks, man. Yeah, Hammerfall. Oh, man, that stuff's awesome. Love that stuff. There's another one called Paleo, I think, or Paleograph or something. That really, really good soundscapes for D&D that you don't have to look at. You can just kind of hit play on them and they'll play for hours. How'd you do the paper-like texture in the background? Actually, I took some time with that. I took a photo of some crumpled paper and then I like sort of pulled the color out of it and lightened it, and then I hand drew the shading for it. Same with, if you look at the Icy RPG book, it has this kind of paper texture. Like on the cover, you can kind of see it there. And that's all painted by hand with a photo of crumpled paper as reference. Matt, peace out. I find it interesting how a culture so bent on individualism punishes individual. I don't think I don't think that they punish individualism as all. I think that's very. I don't think that they punish individualism as far as an overall culture. I think that is a soundbite. I really think the more people that you meet all over the world, not just here, individuality is wonderful. Community thinking is wonderful. People are far kinder than anyone gives them credit in any form of media. And the wonderful among us are all just unsung. And it's okay. That's an okay way for the world to be. You know, the a-holes can take all the attention on the media, and that's totally fine. I really do believe that 95% of the world is totally awesome, unsung people. And if you put yourself out there, they will catch you and they'll be there for you. I really fundamentally believe that. And I can't be swayed in it. I've had experiences in my life that maybe aren't worth talking about here. But next month I am taking a huge solo ride on my bike, and I'm sure once again I'm going to meet a million unexpected, super awesome, humble, great people that are never on the frickin' news. They're never in any media of any kind, and they're fantastic people, and they're everywhere. The human race is totally awesome, and yes, Cry Ranger, or CNY Ranger. Group hug. Group hug. Hell yeah. I mean, if you can't fight for the human race, then you can't fight. So I really fundamentally believe in us. And on that note, I think I'm going to call it good for tonight. Thanks, everybody, for hanging out. It was just kind of a basic little kind of work session. I wasn't trying to prove any points or like be some kind of something tonight, you know. Often come across like a professor. But tonight, I'm just trying to get a little bit of my work done. So there it was. Happy weekend, everybody. Man, summer is here, as Corona has informed us. So that officially means we can wear our shorter pants and maybe even choose a shorter sock to go with it. Everybody practice your kung fu. Pound those weights. Eat fish tacos. And then wash it down with a few beers and enjoy that sunshine. We are here for a reason, and that reason is to love one another. So go do that. All right. Peace out, everybody. I'm going to go recursive, and I'm going to cut this thing off. So thanks, everyone, for tuning in, tuning out. Whichever one you did, thanks for doing it. I'll see you guys very soon. And keep it real. Don't steal. You always get a deal. Until next time.